The following is a presentation of the ForceCenter podcast feed.
As Obi-Wan Kenobi once said, hello there, and welcome to Databank Brawl, the podcast where we learn about Star Wars characters, discuss them, share our little feelings about those characters, and then make them fight for our amusement, and hopefully yours. I am your host. My name is Joseph Scrimshaw. With me, as almost always, is Ken Napzok.
Happy to be here in a Porg-filled world.
That's right. It's a brand new Star Wars world here in the real world, and also Databank Brawl. Now, if for some reason you're listening for the very first time, we get these entries from the official StarWars.com databank. We read them. We supplement with some information from the wilds of Wikipedia, which is quite accurate mostly now. It used to be a little bit of a wild land there between the canon and the non-canon tabs and the legends and all the tabs. And then we talk a little bit about what we think of these characters, kind of get some perspective on them, and then we improvise a fun fight and decide who would and should be the victor. This is our great opportunity to do a fight from The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. Now, if you have not seen The Last Jedi, but are you listening to a Star Wars podcast about two weird characters fighting, I don't know what has gone wrong in your life. But if you haven't seen The Last Jedi yet, please, there are spoilers. Please, no. I was choking on my emotion. There are spoilers. Ken, are you ready for our first official The Last Jedi
I'm
fight?
so ready. Got Wikipedia up here. I'm excited to go into this new territory.
Okay. And our very first combatant. I had to do it. I wanted Jennifer to be here. Schedules are difficult, but I had to have our first combatant be a Porg.
Oh, yeah.
Had to do it. The world has been screaming for Porg battles. Exactly like that. And one of the fascinating things that we like on Star Wars Databank Brawl is certainly we like to brawl, we like to fight, but it's fascinating to see which databank entries are long, complex, maybe sometimes even have some judgment about the characters. The Porg's entry is short and sweet.
Nice.
Here's everything that the databank says about our beloved Porgs. Small, flat-muzzled avians that flock about the rocks and roost in the cliffs of Luke Skywalker's secluded island, Porgs are inquisitive creatures. That's it. Now, this has been up on the databank for a little while, so it's obviously trying to steer away from any spoilers.
Right.
Like, it's not going to add. And Chewie almost ate one. He cooked that Porg, and even its little feet were meat somehow.
Yeah. So true.
Did not add that. But does Wikipedia have more about the Porgs? Ken?
Yes, I have to get through a great video from our friend Alex at Star Wars Explained, who works with Wikipedia. Several warnings for spoilers. I'm scrolling down. Pretty much simple. What you're saying there, it adds the Porglets.
Okay.
A flock of Porgs is known as a murder. I think that was a Ryan Johnson, Pablo Hidalgo confirmed thing. Male Porgs were known to be slightly bigger in size than females. But other than that, it is just as you described. We got some behind-the-scenes information. No height or weight. I think we can see roughly how they are.
Yeah.
Habitat, coastal. They're a good coastal bird. You know what I mean?
Do you think in your imagination, your headcanon at this point, do you think other places have Porgs, or are they native to Ahch-To?
I think I think it's just Ahch-To.
Yeah.
I think it's just Ahch-To. You could see, much like there's, the Loth cats, and there's the different versions in other places. Maybe
Tuca cats other places,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
Tuca cats. Yeah, maybe there could be like a Porg somewhere else.
Nice. How do you feel about the Porgs? Now, the Porgs, to me, are a reflection of modern Star Wars fandom, where they're a background creature that's there for fun in the movie, but we all lost our minds about Porg. Porg mania swept the nation. How are you feeling about him now?
Yeah, Porg mania, Porg nation, all those things there. I liked them. I think I heard about them first, and then I saw them, and that behind-the-scenes footage of D23, I really was like, I like this idea. But I was like, all right, we're looking at dangerous territory, right? It can be too cute. And then the hype starts, and then the backlash to the hype, and then the backlash to the backlash. It's a lesson in pop culturism.
The Porgs are a circle.
And the toys, some of the toys, made me scared. The ones that make sounds.
They're disturbing sounds.
Disturbing sounds. I'm like, what's going to happen here? So then, all right, so the movie comes out. Long story short, I still love them. In fact, I probably even love them more, which is surprising because they are used they're used to, you can't miss them, is what I'm trying to say. And they're front and center at times, and it worked for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like the Porgs.
I liked how emotive they were. So, like, they were able to express different emotions. You would think for a thing that is basically sort of this egg-shaped little oval thing. Yeah. It's got two big eyes and an almost always open mouth with those little teeth poking out, hinting at the possibilities of violence. You would think that they can't express that much emotion, but they do. They do. We see them go through joy and loss and fear and anger. So many. Count the Porg emotions in The Last Jedi, and you will be surprised.
Well, it's an incomplete quote, but it's a quote from Pablo Hidalgo himself. It says, "Porgs are cute. You fall into those deep, soulful eyes." I think a lot of people are going to want a Porg as a pet. And deep, soulful eyes is right. He clearly had seen some footage when describing them there, and not just the behind-the-scenes stuff. He saw how they played in the movie, and there's some soul there.
Yeah, there is some depth to these Porgs. Now, here's another quick follow-up question. Do you want to see them more places? Not in the galaxy, but like, do you want them to come back in Episode 9? Do you want them to? Do you want them to be downloadable content for Battlefront 2?
Yes, that would work. Like a Porg mission.
Oh yeah, save the Porgs.
I am okay with the Porgs being an Episode 8 phenomenon. I do wonder, though, much like when you say, I used to co-own a ferret with my old girlfriend. You can't, not legal here in California, you know? But California has the highest ferret ownership population. So what happens when you introduce a creature into a habitat and an environment that it's not supposed to be or it's not allowed to be? That Porg stowed away. Yeah. He's there at the end of the movie on top of R2. What happens when a Porg goes to another part of the galaxy? Yeah,
and we already saw some Porglets also on the Falcon. Yep. So, I mean, maybe that's going to be the story of Episode 9, if the galaxy is overrun
Chewie and the Porgs, too. Yeah, that's the battle. Porgs. That's the big battle.
Yeah. I want to play a mission or read a book that's Saw Gerrera and the Porgs. I think just because I want to hear him yell, Porg! Porg!
Porg! Gullet!
So, who is going to face the Porg? Not the Porg Gullet. We'll do that horrible Frankenstein monster someday. But the Porg, or perhaps multiple Porgs, needed to face someone. Now, my options were limited because I wanted to pull from the actual StarWars.com databank that doesn't have a lot of the minor characters up yet.
Right.
For The Last Jedi.
Right.
So I had to go with one of my favorite literary devices of alliteration, and that made the choice for me. So the Porg will do combat with the Praetorian Guard.
Oh, no.
Oh, I know. This is going to be brutal. It's going to be a brutal one. Okay. This is what the StarWars.com databank has to say about the Praetorian Guard. As the supreme leader of the First Order, Snoke stood atop an evil regime that mirrored many of the dark traditions of the Galactic Empire. As a striking example, Snoke was flanked by crimson-clad guardians, loyal protectors encased in the ornate armor, ready to defend the supreme leader from any threat. Again, this was released before the film.
Yes.
If it was rewritten now, that last sentence should be, defend the supreme leader from any threat and fail.
Right. Wow, okay.
So what's Wikipedia got going there?
Description's pretty much the same there. We know personal bodyguards, similar to the Emperor's Royal Guard in Return of the Jedi, or actually just all of Star Wars canon, protecting Sheev Palpatine, which, by the way, from the behind-the-scenes perspective, I love that Rian Johnson kind of brought that image back and kind of, again, echoing what you know and what you love about Star Wars and bringing a new version to it. And then we get to see him in action there. Now, they're saying, a elite force of 8 human warriors.
Ooh.
Which is interesting to me because I think in that throne room sequence, I'm going to count when I see this movie again.
How many they slaughter.
Because it is, yes, there's times like in Game of Thrones, my beloved Game of Thrones that I love so much. There's some times where you're like, only 6 warriors are left. And you're like, what? They're still fighting. How many are they fighting? Did they forget when they're shooting this how much are in them? There are times in that throne room scene when like, are there 15 of these guys?
Yeah.
What's going on? So we know there's 8 is supposed to be the number. The guards are known as 1st, 7th, 3rd, so forth and so on. Much like the Inquisitors are seventh brother, sixth sister, sixth brother, all the, you know what it is. So that's interesting too, that, hey, I'm one, I'm two, I'm first, I'm second.
I look forward to getting into that minutia, so we'll know The Last Jedi so well. Oh, yeah, and then that's when 8 gets his throat slashed by Rey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so can you give a nice physical description? Because I think the other cool thing about them is they got that awesome armor, but there are some variations. Yeah,
there are definitely variations in the helmets. So they are generally going to be tall gentlemen, with black pants, but knee-high red boots. And armor, very Shogun-like, kind of a martial art feel to them. Their arms have not just like one sleek red piece of armor. It's in like little sections, and it makes them even look bigger and more menacing. Their helmets, I believe, are different. Correct me if I'm wrong. The one I'm looking at now has more of like a fanned out kind of like almost crown. Some of them seem to be different.
One of them has like the action figure has like a visor thing going on.
Yeah, the visor is it's like a solid plastic almost. You know, it's not plastic. You know what I mean? But like little how they see through it is up for debate.
Yeah. Yeah, but they all do look cool. They look in the pocket of Star Wars, but also different. And I was struck by how they have all these different sort of anti-lightsaber electricity weapons. So is there any details in Wikipedia about, going by general Star Wars lore, those would be vibro things?
Yeah.
Vibro whips, vibro axes?
Ornate crimson armor, robes, plastoid helmets, not quite plastic, 9 plates of armor protected each Praetorian Guard's arms and shoulders, so there's the numbers. And arsenal of melee weapons, so such as long vibro axes, curved single-bladed swords with an electroplasma energy filament running along the blade's edge, whip staffs, and heavy double-bladed pole arms that could also be separated into dagger-like single-bladed weapons to adjust to any battle scenario. Okay. And again, the precise sweeping movements of their martial arts fighting style struck fear into the hearts of foes.
Yeah, of course they did. Yeah, all right. And they got, really, unlike the Emperor's Royal Guard, they got a chance to shine in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, which, again, I loved. I love those Royal Guards, but, yeah, we never really saw them in action, right?
Yeah. Were you at all disappointed, or were you fully in love with the Praetorian Guards in the film?
Cautiously in love going in because it looked really damn cool, and there's a lot of cool figures and merch out there of the Praetorian Guards. But you know the Star Wars thing, you fall in love with something that you see before you see it in action, and it goes a little different, i.e. Phasma for a lot of people, though I still love Phasma. So I was cautiously optimistic, cautiously interested, and I, in the end of the day, loved exactly what happened. Do they get defeated easily? Yes, but that's what's supposed to happen to the bad guys, right?
Yeah, and I don't think it's too easy.
It's not easy.
Massively powerful Force users, right? And those guys are trying everything. Their pole arms, their whip staffs. And at times they almost get them. They're choking them and all that kind of stuff. So yes, easily in the sense of, hey, one sequence they're in and out. But I wouldn't have expected them to travel the galaxy alongside Snoke or Ren. Yeah. Okay, so it is clear then that they will be a challenge for our Porg as we fight. So we get to decide where and when this is going to happen. We could set it in the future. It's possible that there are other Praetorian Guards. Maybe Supreme Leader Ren now continues that tradition. So maybe this is between Episode 8 and Episode 9. Maybe this is in the unknown regions where the First Order built up. Maybe there's Porg somewhere there.
I want to continue what we've just seen, right?
Okay, continue
the
adventure.
So I want to move past 8 a little bit. We don't know how long 8 and 9, the time frame will be between that movie, those movies. We don't know yet, right? So I want a little bit after. I want to say that this wasn't the only 8. This is elite Praetorian Guards. Maybe there's a Praetorian Guard, but...
non-elite Praetorian Guard.
Praetorian Guard. So Supreme Leader Ren's not going to... I think he's not going to casually toss away tools as he takes over.
No.
He's got the Knights of Ren. I think the Knights of Ren could be, if they show back up, could be his personal protection. But he's still got these guys. So I think it's after. Where? That's where I'm struggling.
Yeah, I think our Praetorian Guard is now elite. He used to be basic. Yes. Basic Praetorian Guard. I think number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9 is going to be our combatant.
Number 9.
Exactly.
Number 9.
A great Beatles song about this character, this Praetorian Guard. Praetorian number 9. So the Porgs, I want to think that they really multiply quickly on the Falcon. There's a lot of them. And I think the Praetorian Guards, Ren's going to use them differently.
Yeah.
Instead of being there to be his personal protection, he's going to send them out to wipe out the rebels.
Yes.
And the Falcon, I think it has left Crate. It has maybe made a stop at some other planet of note, or maybe not of note.
Right.
We can decide on the planet. And a couple, when the rebels made that pit stop on the Falcon, a couple of Porgs. Let's say a murder.
Yeah, a murder.
A murder of Porgs. We don't know exactly how many that is. We can decide.
Yeah.
3. Is that enough for a murder?
I think that's enough for a murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 Porgs.
Yeah.
3 Porgs.
3 Porgs.
Fly off the Falcon. The Falcon takes off. They turn with their big emotive eyes and make that look like, huh? That was our home. You just flew away. All right.
With their little feather paws, wings there, they slap their faces like Kevin McAllister. Yeah.
The total Home Alone moment.
Yes.
Yeah, because they are stuck on this planet alone. What is this planet?
All right. I think I want to go new canon, and I think this should be Pilio.
Oh, I like it.
Which is similar to Octo. A lot of ocean, a lot of water, little islands, not as lush. Featured heavily, of course, in Battlefront 2.
Yeah, I like this, and it totally tracks that maybe Rey would sense that there's still something of value there, or maybe Leia would just know that there's some munitions there.
Yeah, and Ren was familiar with that planet. That's where he got, went back to it. I don't want to spoil the end of Battlefront 2 campaign if anyone hasn't played it yet, but he's connected to that planet, so he knows it well. And there's a lot of things going on that planet.
All right, so and it's also continuing the lovely alliteration. This is Porg versus Praetorian Guard on Pilio.
That's right.
All right.
Are you down with P? Yeah, you know me.
So the murder of Porgs. These 3 Porg buddies.
3 Porg buddies. 3 Porg buddies.
They are just making a new home, right?
Yeah. So they're kind of scavenging around. Now they're like, well, this is happening. All right. But you know what? This looks like a new place we can sit. They'll come back for us. Don't worry about it. Let's just find something. They travel there. Yeah, there's little bug-like creatures there. Porgs know how to avoid them right now. And they move towards the center where they find, look at that, which is translated for that looks like a door over there.
Yeah, and they decide to go inside, right?
They start to head over to that door. It's damaged. It's the observatory that was there has been blown up, of course, but there's still remnants and there's still stuff there, and the Porgs even feel kind of an energy, but this would be a nice place to settle down.
Yeah. So I think they start making their home. And one day, one of the Porgs decides to fly out and look for some food.
Yeah.
Grab some food from the ocean, bring it back for their buddies. Basically going to get takeout.
Yes.
Like a good buddy.
Porg takeout.
That was the other Porgs placing their orders. And he zips out of the entrance and immediately slams into something.
Oh, yeah.
It is the back of Praetorian number 9.
Number 9 is there, facing out, kind of looking around like, what am I supposed to be finding here? What's going on here? Boom.
Yep, and in, I think, total slapstick, that is the natural movement of Porg, slams into it and then slides down, goes as he slides down. Praetorian number 9 whirls around.
Yes.
Whipping out what kind of exotic vibro weapon?
I got to tell you there, I like this, what are they called here? I got to get it right here. Got to get it right, which is the whips, the whip staff. I love the whip staff
the whip
one.
Staff?
I love the whip staff.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
And great for taking on flying creatures.
Right.
So he whips out his whip staff.
Yes.
Right? And I think Praetorian number 9 is a little insecure because he's not super elite.
Right.
He just got promoted because all of the ones who were better than him got slaughtered.
Yes, exactly. And he was always really close with number 5. They were buddies.
Number 5, number 9.
And
9 to 5.
And
they got along.
I think number 5 was the one that got lightsabered in the head by Kylo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's been a weird time working for this guy.
Yeah.
He's like, you killed my buddy.
Yeah.
I know it.
I
but
know.
all right.
I know it wasn't just the scavenger girl who killed him.
Yeah,
all.
he's got a lot of things going on.
Right. So he I think, gets that whipstaff out and just slices the air, assuming
Yes.
that his combatant was his same height and whatever struck him was immediately behind him.
Right.
That thing goes racing out. The Porg, of course, is beneath him.
So as he swings his whipstaff back around, the Porg looks up and is like, "Oh!" and flies through his legs.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Towards the other side. I don't know if the Porg's going to immediately go on the offensive.
Yeah.
Because he's got deep soul, man.
Yeah.
He doesn't jump to violence. And I think he just kind of flutters in the air, kind of like, what do I do?
Okay. And then I think something truly horrible happens.
Oh.
I think maybe some people would be mad at me. I don't know. I think the Praetorian gets his wits about him. I think number 9 whirls, sees the little thing flying away, just slashes out with that whipstaff, and I think hits our Porg buddy's leg.
Yes.
And I think our Porg buddy just cries out in a horrific pain. It is unpleasant. Now, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It was a wound.
Yeah.
It was painful.
It's
Porg's not
painful.
dead.
Yeah.
And the guts aren't hanging out. Don't worry.
A painful
Don't come at
Porg.
Me.
Yeah.
Don't at me. But the Porg is in pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
The pain of the Porg. And I think that this is going to trigger a fight or flight response.
Yes. I think he drops to the ground, right?
Yeah,
He's
for
flying,
sure.
but boom. I think he turns around with those big eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think his lip quivers a little bit, right? Like, could this be my end? And yeah, exactly. And number 9 kind of does the he stomps over.
Yeah.
Big, all that armor there, the 9 plates of armor on each arm and shoulder. And he has a whip staff. I want to say Whip Smart, the title of Liz Fair's second album. The whip
Liz
staff.
Fair's second album on
Yeah,
it.
the whip staff, and he takes a big swing and like he's going to come down over the top. Big giant boom, and it misses. I think the Porg flies out of the way at the last second and realizes it's game time.
Yeah.
They got to fight.
Yep. I think he this little.
He knows his other 2 buddies are back there too.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. So I think he does a flutter with his wings, where he gets up a bunch of energy and basically launches himself at a rock, bounces off the rock. This is heroic because it hurts his little leg, his injured leg. But he bounces off the rock, and now he has so much momentum, and he is just flying at the head of number 9,
Right?
Like just the massive Porg battering ram that he knows he can be, and he is letting out a battle cry like the one we heard on the Falcon. That endless guttering, bellowing. And I think translated to the Porg language, it's on, my friends. It's on. I think he is calling to his 2 friends back in
It's on.
It's on. It's on.
It's a fight.
It's a fight. Porg fight. And I think he slams into the head of the Praetorian Guard number 9. And his head he gets shook. This is just concussion. This is jello brain.
Yeah. And I'm looking closely here at a Praetorian Guard's helmet, and I think it's like a football helmet. I think it can hit. You can rattle around in there, all right? Some like a mid-'80s to early '90s football helmet that doesn't have a lot of the improved technology there. So I think the Porg hits him. So number 9 is rattled, drops his whip staff, all right? And doesn't fall to the ground, but just kind of like, I get that hurt. And also he's like, am I fighting a bird?
What is happening?
What's happening
Does
here?
this bird
Do I
have the
call
fur
for help?
force? Yeah.
The fur force?
The fur force?
Yeah.
I think
But he's dropped the whip staff.
He dropped the whip staff for sure. And he is shaking it off literally and debating what is happening to him. 2 more Porgs race out from the cave.
Yes.
What do you think the Porgs do, Ken?
These 2 Porgs fly straight for the fallen whipstaff.
Oh, of course they do.
And one of them gets there first, and he grabs whipstaff. Now, it is, you notice how it kind of like snaps back into position, like into a staff, and then other times it's a whip. This one is still a whip. So it hasn't been, when you dropped it, it didn't snap back. So it's still loosey-goosey.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
So one of them, he picks it up and he's flying. The other one has to come and kind of help. And these two porgs, and they fly up with his whip staff.
Okay, I think this is great. And I think before the number 9 can fully comprehend what is happening, they fly at him. Mm-hmm. He reaches out for the whip with his hand, but they basically manage to do a quick maneuver where they go above his hand, and they each have it in their mouths, either end of the whip staff,
right,
and they get it around his throat.
Yes.
Right where that armor is vulnerable. And they're just pulling and flying with all of their might.
And it's like in an Old West movie when someone gets tied behind a horse, right? And gets dragged through town. So I think it hooks on it because those masks have a lot of angles, a lot of areas to hook. So the whip staff hooks underneath the mask. It's still attached to his head. And they're able to drag him, not with a lot of force or fury.
Yeah.
It's a slow drag, but nonetheless, they got control of this Praetorian Guard.
But I think they move him up that little embankment that we see in the video game.
Yes.
And then he's on a cliff's edge now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right above the cliff's edge.
Yeah.
And I think at this point he realizes, I need to spring into action.
Yes. I'm a Praetorian Guard.
I'm a Praetorian Guard,
I'm number 9.
I am number 9, but I will earn being number 1. So I think he grabs it. I think it's done a little bit of damage to his helmet. I think it's a little crack there on that vulnerable part. But I think he snaps it back into his staff.
Okay.
And that shakes the 2 porgs off.
Oh, great, yeah.
And I think he takes a couple swings at them. Maybe he whacks each porg a little bit, but doesn't quite get any killing blows. He just hits them, they spin.
There's been some singed feathers.
There's some singed feathers. But these are brave porgs. One of them's a lady porg, a little smaller. But she is in the fight. But then our original porg.
Yes.
The kind one who is willing to get takeout. It has the wounded leg. Comes racing back into action.
Yes.
And I think this porg knows... I've now seen a lot more of the galaxy.
Right.
And I know that there are hard things that soft things live under. And we need to get to the soft, meaty bit.
Right.
The way that big furry thing did when it ate one of us.
Right.
Or cooked one of us.
Yeah.
It got to the soft porg parts underneath.
Yes.
I bet this thing has soft parts underneath. I must get to them.
And by the way, we know Chewie had already had one for breakfast. It was only at dinner that his life turned around. So yeah, you're right. They're like, we need to crack this shell.
Yeah.
So to speak. This is our lobster.
Yeah.
Our crab.
The Praetorian Guards are basically the logo of the restaurant Red Lobster, but much cooler. Does this guy does this brave porg just take another flying headbutt at that damaged helmet? Does he take another approach?
I think that's the only thing he can do, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense. So yes, I think the porg flies straight on, but it's a more direct shot. It's less of a glancing blow. It is just the porg puts his shoulder into it.
Yeah.
Boom, and just knocks into this guy. And he's a little more winded, a little more damaged.
Yeah.
So this time I think it'll have more effect.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah. He's wounded, and this now lodges his helmet up a little bit, so it's a little off his face.
Yeah.
And his neck is exposed. Mm-hmm. So he is struggling to get it back into place.
Yeah.
But the Lady Porg sees an opportunity.
Yes. She also, she sees an opportunity, and she flies in, lands not land, but goes onto the top of his helmet.
Oh, nice.
And with her little feet, yanks off the helmet.
Oh, she yanks it up.
Yeah, just yanks us. So now his face is exposed.
Nice.
And I think he's got like the black outfit that's under. I think it comes up over his ears.
Okay.
It's like almost like a bobsled racing outfit.
Yeah. So it's just like an oval opening where his face is.
Yes.
Which is not ominous at all.
At all.
Dorky looking, in fact.
Yeah. Now we know. In that moment, you realize he's not number 9. He's like Hugh. The guy who, when you went to high school with, and you didn't know what he went into, and he joined the military and became this guy.
He became a Praetorian Guard.
Yeah.
Oh, and not elite one. Oh, a basic. Well, that's still good, Hugh.
Good job, Hugh.
Very impressive.
Pays good.
I think the other porg screams, yeah, which is the porg word for eyes.
Oh, yes.
screaming the idea of let's go for its eyes.
Yes. Yes. They know that the eyes are the key and the window to the soul if you're a Porg, and also it's a good place to hurt. So, yes.
The window to the meat.
It's a window to the meat. So the two other Porgs lead the charge.
Yeah.
And start just, I was going to say pecking. They don't really have beaks.
No, they got to kind of get try to get a lock on the eyebrow and get those little bottom teeth into the eyeball.
You want them to eat the Praetorian Guard's eyeballs like a vampire or a werewolf or a zombie.
I want
love
them
it.
to try.
Well, so I think
We'll see if it works.
I think they try. That's a great direction.
Does it
I'm going
work?
to yes and that and say that they both fly to each eye, to a left and a right eye, and they lock into the top of his eyelids and his eyebrows.
Oh,
his brow.
there is screaming. There is screaming.
This is the closest we've had to a Star Wars horror film, by the way.
Yes, there is some spurting of blood, some screaming.
Yeah.
But this is a Praetorian Guard.
Yes.
Right. So I think that he remembers his training. And I think what he does is an aggressive backflip where he's basically not trying to complete the backflip. He's trying to land on his face.
Yes.
So he can basically smash the Porgs on the ground.
He's not going to roll through it. He's just going to flip over.
He's just going to flip through it.
Okay.
And
I like that.
basically face slam the Porgs.
He does that. So he squishes one. It's alive. It's well. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But it's definitely hurt. The other one skedaddles away, flies away.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the Lady Porg makes it out before the landing, and the other one
Quicker reflexes.
takes some rib damage for sure.
Definitely.
It's painful.
Core damage. Yeah.
Some core damage.
Yeah.
I think that now our original Porg who had removed the helmet is back in action
Yes.
and realizes, wow, this the Porgs are quite smart.
Yeah.
And inquisitive, so they like to watch, and they see this he's got all this fancy footwork.
Yeah.
We can't keep him off his balance. And the Porg realizes we need to take his balance away.
Very smart. Good
So
tactic.
I think this Porg dives down to the ocean as he was originally planning to do.
Right.
He gets a big mouthful of minnows,
Oh.
little space minnows.
Space minnows.
He flies back up and
Right.
he salts the earth with little slippery minnows,
Little slippery minnows.
hoping that when Praetorian number 9 stands up, it will be Jerry Lewis level slapstick.
Slip on the banana peel.
Slip on
Space minnows.
Slip on the space minnows. Does this bold tactic work?
He gets to his feet.
Yeah.
Well, he gets to his knees. He's almost like on all fours. And
Yeah.
He kind of takes. His eyes are bleeding. He's
not seeing well.
He's
Yeah.
not seeing well. He's just upset.
He's hoping no one sees this.
He's like, I'm definitely going to be demoted to number 10 at this point. I don't know if there's ranks by numbers. That just might be your designation. But he does stand up, and he's not stepping back under the minnow.
Oh, no, he's
On the
not falling
minnows.
for the trap.
He's not falling the trap, but the Porgs realize we have to make him. So his helmet's still lying there. So the female Porg flies down, grabs the helmet, and flies towards him, and kind of angles up as like a bombing run. So she's flying straight at his head, and then kind of moves up at the last moment, drops the helmet onto his head. Now it's not with a lot of force. It might bruise him because the that's heavy plastoid, but it hits him, and it causes him to kind of stumble back onto the minnows.
So she brains him with his own helmet.
Yes.
She hits him in his vulnerable soft spots
Yes.
with the symbol of the oppression of the First Order, his armor, and he steps back onto a big pile of flapping, slippery space minnows.
Oh, flapping minnows, man.
He does a just comic dance. One
Yes.
leg here, he tries to do the recovery. You know, I'm from Minnesota, a land of ice and snow, and there is a particular joy and shame. The winter begins, and you watch out your window for can't wait to watch someone slip, catch himself, and slip some more. The more seconds it goes on, the better. And this goes on this is at least 15 seconds of, he's got his bounce back. Nope, whoop, he did a flip. Cool move. Oh, what? Oh, no, there goes the wacky leg again.
Right.
Oh, no, okay, here he goes. And I think he tumbles back. He falls over the cliff edge, but he grabs onto the ledge.
Yes.
And I think this might be a good moment to pause our fights, as we always do.
I almost wasn't. I was not excited for this moment. This is a tough moment for me.
Tough moment. We decide who would win.
Yeah.
And based on the story we've been telling, who do we want to
Who do we
win?
want
And then
to
we will
win?
complete this epic battle of titans.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
When this started, I had an idea,
Oh,
and I've changed my idea midway. I was going to see if this was the time this particular Praetorian Guard saw the error of his ways and maybe switch sides. Maybe these Porgs could turn him to the good side. But as the battle's gone on, I realized the one thing The Last Jedi taught us is you have to be responsible for your choices. You talked about this theme, Joseph, in our ForceCenter breakdown of The Last Jedi. You have to have, there's some responsibility. You make these choices, you're stuck with them.
Yeah.
You can change your ways.
Absolutely.
In fact, I want a lot of you out there to change your ways. But he's got to pay some price. He's done some bad things.
For his evil.
Yes.
So you feel like he should ultimately, in the moral arc of the galaxy, pay through defeat.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. That. And I think, in fairness to how amazing the Praetorian Guards are,
They are.
You know what? I'm not going to kill a Porg. That's just not the mood I'm in today. But I think we've got a couple of pretty bad injuries. I think our lead Porg, that little leg may never not work the same again.
Yeah, if you ever go to like a petting zoo and you see one goose that's kind of like got a damaged leg, and you're like, poor goose, what happened to you? That's that.
I think it's always going to kind of stick out at a weird angle, and he's going to have a weird gait to his little hobble.
Yes.
And it's ultimately going to be a little cute.
That's with everything.
It's cute injury. And that other Porg, definitely they're going to be in Porg traction, wounded ribs.
It's going to need a therapy Ewok.
It's going to need a therapy Ewok for the Porg.
Yeah.
But the Porgs are going to decisively win this battle, which leaves us only with the question of death.
Yeah.
Are the Porgs going to murder Praetorian number 9, or will he live to question his choices?
Murder.
You heard it here, folks.
Murder. Yeah. So I propose this is high up on a cliff, right?
Yeah.
So there's many, many species on Pileo, but the one we know that is very prominent is the scritters, which is these bug-like flying scorpion type of abominations.
Yeah, big pussy creatures.
Yes. Skywalker's got to defeat them. Del Meeko's got to shoot them when you play that mission on Battlefront 2. There's a hive of them.
Oh.
Down below on the lower part of this cliff and on the shore.
Okay.
He needs to end up there.
Nice. Here's what I think happens. And feel free to jump in. I like that that's where we're going. I think this Praetorian struggles to get back up, but his armor, it's coming off a little bit, and the Porgs see this.
Yes.
And I think they line up on the cliff's edge, and slowly, cruelly, they bite down on the armored fingers, and they tug, and they tug, and they make their little Porg tugging noises. And the armored gloves come off, and Praetorian number 9 falls, screaming, "No!" And where does he land exactly?
Boom! Right in the center of all these scritters. And there's a momentary pause where all the scritters look at each other like, well, happy day. Meat's back on the menu, boys.
Exactly.
And they just...
just swarm, right?
You know how that one Praetorian Guard got one of 17, got tossed into that little like fan and cut
shredded.
up?
Yeah.
Which is a very popular moment in the movies that I've seen, the screenings I've seen. I think that happens here.
Just
pieces of armor flying, black lycra, everything, and Praetorian meat.
Yeah. They eat him down to the bone and then decorate their home with his bones. Yeah. That's what those scritters do. And the little Porg, the one with the forever wounded leg, who can still get around but has to put a little work into it, that Porg thinks to himself, you know what? I left our home to get us some takeout.
Yes.
And the world, the Force moves in strange ways.
It does.
I brought some takeout to the scritters instead.
Yes. Can you feel it? Breathe. Balance.
Breathe. Light. The dark.
Porg balance as well.
Any other denouements? Any other
I
end of
think
credit scenes?
they settle in nicely to what's left over of this observatory. And the Skritters never forget the good deeds the Porgs did for them. So the Porgs aren't in danger of the Skritters. They live in harmony. As Obi-Wan would say in the prequels, it's a symbiotic circle there,
The Porgs and the Skritters.
I do think, though, at one point, there's a low hum, and then they come out of what's left of the observatory, and they see the Millennium Falcon landing, and the gate closes or goes down. The walkway goes down, and out steps Chewbacca with a Porg on his shoulder.
Aw.
And he did, and the three Porgs are reunited with the rest of their Porg family.
That is beautiful. And the murder goes back to the larger group, the super murder of Porgs.
Yeah. But
Out
before they leave,
into space.
one of them grabs an artifact that they were using to build like a little nest.
Yeah.
And it turns out that that's some sort of important Sith-built artifact that later on will factor into like Star Wars Episode 13.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the Sith calculator. The space calculator. Everything adds up to evil on that calculator, but it's going to help Rey as she builds the new Jedi. All thanks to our murder of Porgs. That was even more fun than I imagined.
Yeah.
Now, the Porgs, everybody's been wanting, who's a fan of Databank Brawl, thank you for being a fan. You've been waiting for Porgs to fight. I have to say, they'll fight again. I mean, we want Jennifer to see them. Our friend Ash Crossan has really gone out there and made herself the queen of Porgs. We will revisit the Porgs with some of our Porg lovers out there in Porg Nation, for sure. As always, if there are characters that you'd like to see fight, let us know. Send us a tweet, or you can contact us on Facebook as well. Use the hashtag #DatabankBrawl. We would love to know who you would like to see fight, especially, are there side characters in The Last Jedi that popped out to you? We will watch like hawks for them to be added to the official Databank. Ken, where can people find you?
You can find me at Ken Napzok across all social media platforms. I have a show, Daily Thrones, on Anchor, and the Napzok Files, a regular podcast out there as well. Talk about non-Star Wars related things.
Excellent. And I want to give a specific shout out to Tony Thaxton, great musician and podcaster himself, who wrote our awesome theme music for Databank Brawl. I've been getting a lot of messages from everybody about how much you're enjoying the songs, and they are great. He also has a Patreon where he creates new Star Wars music, so you can check his Patreon out. You can, of course, check out our Patreon. It's at patreon.com/ForceCenter. You can also check out our merch at tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter. You can check out my personal podcast, Obsessed. I've got a bunch of live shows coming up. You can check out my website at josephscrimshaw.com for that. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram as at Joseph Scrimshaw. You can like Force Center on Facebook and follow us on Twitter as at ForceCenterPod. And until next time, as Luke Skywalker once said while no one was really listening to him, I care. That's it for Databank Brawl.